Hi, and welcome to the Crit Hit Wild podcast, where we cover all things Marvel Crisis Protocol, and we cover a new character every week. This week, we're going to be doing the Shadow King, and I'm your host, Fred.
I'm Brad.
I'm Brandon.
And I'm Steven.
How's it going, guys? How is everybody doing? How are you doing today, Brad?
I'm doing fine.
That's good to hear. How are you doing, Brandon?
Good. Had a good day yesterday. Gonna have a good day today. Gonna be a good time.
That's good to hear. How are you doing, Steven?
Well, it's gray, drizzle, and a sunny day in Cleveland. So
It's actually rather warm here today.
Yeah, it is. It's above 60.
oh wow. Yeah. We're at 50.
I have not been outside, so
It is nice out. It's very
Yeah.
nice out.
I just took my dog out and made the mistake of putting sweatpants and a hoodie on before I walked out there and immediately regretted it.
Yeah, it's quite nice. I'm quite tired. If you may be able to hear that in my voice, everybody. I was up till 2 a.m., which is not something that I'm used to doing. But, oh well. We will soldier on. Well, so there is some news. Before I go into the big news, let's talk about tournaments. There is a tournament on December the 16th at Lost Legion Games and Comics in South Charleston. If you're going to be in the area, come on down. We'd love to have you. Have we determined what that tournament is going to be?
it's just gonna be a standard tournament. Nobody had any other ideas, so
Standard MCP tournament?
yeah.
Okay. All right. That's what it's going to be. And other than that, I don't know of anything else that's happening in the area. So come on down and play some games. Now, the news that I was mentioning earlier is that we now know what all of the tactics cards in the Hero Falls, what's it called? Battle Falls? Combat Falls.
Battle for the Throne.
Battle for the Throne.
Yeah, the box is called Battle for the Throne, but the big terrain piece is called Warrior Falls, and I keep accidentally calling it Warrior Falls.
Okay. The Battle for the Throne box containing the new King T'Challa and new Killmonger. We now know what all of the cards are. Do you want to... Let's go through them, because some of them are quite interesting. I'll do the first one. Bast's Blessing. This is an attack card where it's active and it costs an action. And T'Challa, so that's either one of the Black Panthers, may spend 3 power to play this card. T'Challa makes the attack shown above. And it is a mystic attack called Power of the Mother God. It is range 3, 6 dice, and has 0 cost. It costs 3, essentially. And before damage is dealt, place this character within range 1 of the target character. And then on a double wild, there is an effect called Hunter's Joy. Choose an enemy character within range 2 of the target character that has not been targeted by Power of the Mother God this turn. This character makes a Power of the Mother God attack targeting the chosen character. All right, let's take these one at a time. What is everyone's thought on this? I'll go first. I'm unimpressed by this particular one. It's nice to have one that you can attack multiple times, but how frequent is a double wild trigger going to happen on 6 dice?
Not very.
Not frequently. It's nice that you get placed within range 1, and if you can really fish out that double wild... I mean, I guess if you put him with the new captain, it makes it much more likely.
20% shot.
You can't do
He
that,
has to be
Fred.
Has to be in Wakanda.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It's Wakanda specific, so never mind. Never even mind about that. Oh, boy. Yeah, I'm unimpressed by this. I think it doesn't do enough to be worth 3 power.
Hey Fred, you want to play
and
the game? You want to play a game?
is it the game that I'm wrong? Am I wrong?
No, no. Remember how I always say like every time we get like tactics cards, there's always like a bad one, a fun one, and then like a pretty playable one.
Okay,
Same scenario.
this is the bad one.
Well,
Is
I
this is the game. The game is we have to determine which one it is.
Yeah, we have to determine which ones are which. I don't
Okay.
think this. I think these are. I think the 2 attacks are fun.
I think they're bad.
Yeah, I think
They're
they're bad.
they're
I
actually-
think this is bad. I think this is not good.
The attacks taking an action makes them not worth taking. You get 5 tactics
Right.
cards. If you get extra attack from a tactics card, probably worth taking, at least considering.
well, I actually like this on the original Black Panther the best because he has the full rerolls that he can do.
But
then
again,
he has-
these are fun cards you play with your friends or like your kids at your kitchen table.
and you can do this with Wakanda Forever.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It is technically a cost 0, even though you have to pay 3 to use the card.
No, you can't.
You can't? Oh, because it costs an action.
It costs an action.
Yeah, it's,
You have
Right,
to
you
do
use
an
this as
action
you-
to play the card, and then you
Right,
immediately
and then you follow up with Wakanda Forever.
you can combo it after, but
Okay, if
you
you
wouldn't
do
be able
that,
to make the attack.
so you use the action to play the card, not to make the attack.
Yeah, I understand that.
So Wakanda Forever doesn't give you anything with this card.
Right, but I'm just saying with Mantle of the Black Panther on the original, this would give you the rerolls. You could do this attack, do another attack, and then do another attack with Wakanda Forever. Is what
Okay,
I'm saying.
yeah, but you can do that anyway without this card. There's different attacks.
Well, it all depends on who you're going into, but yeah, I don't rate this card highly either. So
Yeah.
I was just trying to think of the Rube Goldberg machine that would make this card work. It's basically
These are
No.
fun cards you play at the kitchen table.
Right. Well, I think it's just not. I get what you're saying. I think it's just not great. Now, how frequent are mystic cards in Wakanda? Or mystic attacks, I should say. Are there a lot?
No.
Yeah,
don't
there
have
are
a
none.
single
So
one,
this
do
is
they?
maybe this one and the other one are maybe just them saying, "Hey, here are some mystic attacks in case you desperately need them."
Do we want to talk about that
For some
other
reason.
one now?
Yeah. What is that? The next one
Uh-huh.
in alphabetical order?
Yes.
It is. Okay. So yes, let's talk about Killaluna's glory. Volunteer time. Who wants to take this one?
I will.
Brandon's taking it. All right.
Vengeance of the Betrayer God. It's a range 3 attack for 7 dice. It costs 0 power after you play it for an active action. You have to be Wakanda affiliated. Either Killmonger can play this card. It costs 3 power like the previous, and then you get to make the attack. The attack special power is that after the attack is resolved, the target character loses power equal to the damage dealt. For each power lost this way, an allied character may gain 1 power.
Now I think this one's way better than the previous one.
This is the one you take. If you
Yeah,
want
this
to
one's
put a
way
mystic
better.
attack in your list, this is the one you take.
I also don't think this is worth it either.
No.
But this is
It's
this is
closer.
better.
It's closer.
Yeah, this is better.
So this is also so this card was close for me because it was like it's really close to being really good against Immortal Hulk, except for its Mystic, and for whatever reason, Immortal Hulk has 5 Mystic defense for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So like any way to like because you get to take the power off. So like it's one of those like weird things. But if you're gonna take one, I think this is the one you take. And except for I don't know if Wakanda's probably not. I mean, they probably don't have a ton of tactics cards they really like have access to. So like you might be kind of short on like tactics cards.
Okay.
But-
I'm still very questionable about whether this is worth taking.
No, I'm not sure. I'm not. It's it's one of those cards. If you're gonna play it, you're gonna play it at home for fun, and like because your kid's only playing a character that's really weak against mystic attacks,
Yeah.
and you just want to show them things exist.
You're playing against the. Well, we'll go over that later. Well, we'll talk about that later. That's Killaluna's Glory. It's better than Bast's Blessing, I think. I think it's probably substantially better, but it still doesn't quite cross the line into being worth worth the tactics card slot. I'm not sure. You may have made a good point that Wakanda might have enough slots to justify this one.
I mean, this card's just, it's like, if you want to build a scenario, it's good against the big characters that want power. And so, like, if you're playing against Ultron and, like, Ghost Rider all the time, trying to take power off of them to, like, finish them off and make sure they don't have the power to, like, deal with the devil or bring Ultron, whatever, Age of Ultron? Is that the name of
Age of
Ultron?
Ultron, yeah.
Yeah, Age of Ultron. So, like, stuff like that, but I mean, anything that like loses power and can spread power off is at least like something you can look at. I don't think it's necessarily good enough, but like I feel like there are, unlike the other one, I actually think this one has like niche like playability.
Yeah. And now I should clarify, this is not the same effect as Ghost Rider's Penance Stare, because they still gain power from damage that they take. They just also lose power. So it's a net. Correct? Is that correct? Am I correct on that read?
I've closed it and opened the other card.
I believe that I'm correct, because Penance Stare specifically says that they do
you're
not
right.
gain power from the. Yeah.
You're right.
So they would still gain power from the damage that they take from this attack. They would
Well,
just
they would
also lose it.
they would just stay net neutral.
Right.
So
So
if they're
you
in a
wouldn't.
spot, if they're in a spot where they like need the extra, like as someone who plays Ghost Rider a lot, like I don't always save all my power if I have like some amount of health left. Like I will account kind of like I'm going to gain more power, and this card can kind of trap people into scenarios. Also, you can stun them with other characters in Wakanda, and then they would actually lose power. But that's just getting a little too
I mean, you're right.
far down
That's-
in the
that-
rabbit
that's correct.
hole.
Okay, let's move on. The next one is called Synthetic Heart-Shaped Herbs. Who wants to do this one?
I'll do this one.
All right, Brad,
It's
go for it.
unaffiliated active. Either of the Killmongers can play it. They spend 1 power. They gain poison, and they gain a character or terrain throw size 3 or less within range 2. Throw it short once per turn. So they get that superpower for the rest of the game. Cost 3 for the throw.
Okay. So this rules.
This
Hey,
card's
hey,
good.
Fred. Hey, Fred. You figured out the good one.
Yeah, this is a good one. This one.
That's a good one.
Hey, I'm not a complete idiot. I know what's good and I know what's bad. This is
Well,
a good card.
The fact that this is unaffiliated makes this really good, and this just makes my life slightly more complicated because now I want to play Killmonger back into my Criminal Syndicate list.
Yeah.
This card good enough.
I feel like you play this card first turn, and you
Yeah.
spend one of his actions to clear poison.
Yeah.
And then you're set for the rest of the game.
There's no reason not to do that. Just literally the first thing you do is play the card, shake,
Move.
and then move. Yeah, and then you can move on the back point.
Yeah. Also, it is worth mentioning that if he has the throw active and you have played Usurp the Throne on the original Killmonger, you can finish the character off with this throw.
Yep.
And still gain the 2 victory points.
Yeah. All right. Here's the follow-up question. If you're playing the first Killmonger, does he have 2 cards stapled to the back of his card now? As in Usurp the Throne and Synthetic Heart-Shaped Herbs?
I don't think you always play Usurp the Throne, but close.
It's close. This one's really quite up there. Here is my next follow-up.
I think it depends on like your tactics card situation too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But
Like Criminal
how
Syndicate specifically, there's like 5 cards they almost always want to take. So cutting that down to 3 is real rough. Like you're cutting like Cruelty, Shadow Organization, like This is a Robbery. Like those are the kinds of cards you're cutting. You have to cut 2 of those to take,
Yeah.
or Patch Up or Brace just to take,
Well, we don't always have. Some of us don't get to bring that many awesome cards there, Brandon. Some of us don't get to do that.
No, this is like, and this works out really well in for you, Fred. You can play him in what's the thing?
What is the thing?
No, Cabal. Like he's good in Cabal now. Like it kind of staples it into like a Cabal situation. Like even though Cabal's got good cards, like I think if you're splashing him too in other affiliations now, I think they're both stapled to him. I don't know if you always play Usurp the Throne either.
That's what I said.
Yeah. So because there are like when you're playing against if you're playing against Brotherhood and you expect Hulk, Magneto, like Juggernaut, I'm probably not taking that card. Probably not taking either of those cards.
I think if they have a Hulk that they're likely to play, you don't take the card.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you have to kill Hulk.
That's definitely true.
Unless you're also playing Hulk.
And makes it easier.
You still got to finish him with Killmonger. Well, all right. So that one's the good one. That one's a very good one. The question that I was trying to get to is how do you think this changes our feelings on Killmonger, Usurper, the second Killmonger? I think it makes him substantially better. You can pounce into someone and then throw something at the same person.
It also allows you.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's double impact on one activation without spending an action. It did cost you 5 power to do that, but still, I mean.
He still has an attack back too, which is really good.
Yeah. I think that this card makes Killmonger Usurper even, like I'm pretty up on Killmonger Usurper. I think this card makes him even better. So that I just wanted to say that. We can move on to the final card that's going to be in that that pack, and it's called Trial by Combat. Do you want to take this one, Steve? Oh, boys.
No, I'm good. I'm good. Don't worry about it.
It's the longest one. Do you want to take this one, Steven?
Sure.
Okay.
Wakanda active. An allied Wakanda character with an active leadership ability may play this card during its activation. Choose an enemy character with an active leadership ability within 3 of this character and play this card. The chosen character and the character that played this card roll dice equal to the remaining stamina. The leadership ability of the character that rolled fewer crits, hits, and wilds results becomes inactive for the rest of the round.
Yeah, this is interesting. This is the one that is kind of I don't think it's very good. I don't think it's good.
It's a tech card.
Yeah, it's techie and it might be fun. This is the one that I thought was the fun one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is
fun.
This is fun. It is worth mentioning that Wakanda leaders tend to have more health than most other leaders that aren't She-Hulk. And so if you put a little bit of damage on their leader before you play this card, there's a decent chance that you get this.
Yeah, and you usually do this on this has to be done. Wait, does this have to be done during your leader's activation?
Yeah.
An ally during its activation. Yeah. So you usually would do this right after you went in on an enemy leader.
Yes.
Like you throw your leader at their leader and you do a bunch of damage, and if you fail to daze or KO them, you do this and you remove their affiliation bonus. Which
Also,
if you're doing it against Kingpin, could be the difference between winning and losing.
yeah. I also want
Kingpin also
to
has a lot of health, though.
I also want to note that it does say choose an enemy character. So I believe, and Les will correct me if I'm wrong when he listens to this episode, that you can choose a dazed leader and turn their leadership off as long as you get
Ooh.
at least one crit hit or wild.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
I'm pretty sure choose gets out around the dazed condition.
Because it's
not,
not
you're
target.
not targeting.
You're not
Yeah.
targeting, you're choosing.
Huh, okay. So you can knock out Peter Quill and then use this and roll dice, and as long as you get anything,
Yeah.
you turn off everyone's what are they called, tokens? Winging it tokens.
If you can manage to daze Miles,
Mhm.
you can turn
Oh,
off those
man.
rerolls.
That's a big if.
Oh man. This is
Yeah,
going up
if you
in my
put
estimation.
if you put like 2 or 3 damage on Miles, you probably also turn off his leadership, and that's a lot more
Yeah.
doable.
Right.
It's very good if you get this off against Sam Wilson too.
Oh
So,
yeah,
I mean,
that was something I saw someone point out. Like, if you can get this against Sam Wilson on a turn where you're going to be dazing or KOing a lot of his models.
mhm. Yeah.
This card is going up in my estimation. Like, I think it might be good
Fred.
now that we're talking about
Fred, do you remember that there is a category of Team Tactics card that is a trap?
it. Is this the trap?
This is a trap.
This is
Okay.
100% a trap.
It's a
Okay.
fun trap. It is definitely a casual night. I want to pull this off trap.
Right.
Do not take this to a tournament.
Okay.
Now, this card would definitely change it if it would say the leadership is inactive for the rest of the game.
Ooh, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
probably too good.
Yeah, it's way too good.
Or
Yeah,
too
we
bad
got-
if you fail.
We
Oh,
just
yeah.
happened to get, we got a good, 2 bads, and a trap, which is right on par with what we've been getting almost in every single box. We usually get a good, a trap, and, the fun trap cards, the good card, and then, the bad cards. So.
I feel like these are all. I don't think that I don't think they're good. They're not all good. One of them is very good, but they are in keeping with how this game goes.
Yeah. And still, the worst thing about, I know you mentioned the new Killmonger with the other card. The worst thing still is that Killmonger can't play Usurp the Throne, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that was correct. I remember there being like a glaring thing. I just want to make sure that was what it was.
You are correct. He cannot do Usurp the Throne, and that does hurt quite a bit. But I think that being able to pounce and then throw someone into something is very good. Like, that's a very good effect.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what Sabretooth can do, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
The new Sabretooth.
Yeah. The new Sabretooth. Which doesn't see a lot of play, so now getting the same ability on the same threat character plus a tactics card.
Yeah, but if you play
Not
both.
sure. Yeah, just pounce, and then Black Panther pounces too. Just pounce into everybody.
Yeah.
Just throw yourself into everybody. I like it. I'm in. Yeah, this makes Killmonger with Kingpin just really, really good. A lot better in my opinion. It's just gonna be hard finding the tactics card spots, but giving Killmonger a throw with his charge, special forces, plus the kill count tokens, I think it's a really good situation.
I do too. All right. I think I think we've covered this enough. Those are the new tactics cards. That's all the news we've got so far. But we have some games that we've played recently that we need to cover. Speaking of which, Steven, you recently attended the tournament that happened at North Coast Games.
Correct.
Yeah. Do you want to go over how that went for you?
Well, I will. It's kind of long though, so you guys ready?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay. All right. Well, we were at North Coast Games. Shout out to Les, friend of the podcast. He showed up and he was playing in this tournament too. It was good to see him again. It was a 14-player tournament, and it went 3 rounds. I was playing a Defenders Midnight Suns list, and my first game was against Gilberto Rivera, who we've met a couple of times before and had matches at our local game night and in some tournaments. That first game was a nail biter. It was a win for me, 11-9. We only went to 4 rounds because there was a time issue. They didn't do chess clocks; they did the timer, and Gilberto and I were on the only map that did not have pre-marked areas. So we had to take time to set up our extracts and our secures. We were playing Alien Ship and Demons Downtown. We played at 19. He was playing Emma Frost, Beta Ray Bill, Captain Marvel, the original from the original core box, Crimson Dynamo, and Winter Soldier. I was kind of disappointed he didn't have any more mutants besides Emma in there. But and I was running Amazing Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Ghost Rider, and Doctor Voodoo. Like I said, in this game it was 11-9. It was very close. Gilbert and I were kind of perplexed about the time issue and how it wasn't going correctly for us. So in the end, I believe Doctor Strange putting hexes out on people was very important. Dr. Voodoo had a really good possession turn where he possessed Bill, took an extract, and then reapplied Dr. Brother Daniel to himself and went to the back point. His leadership for Emma was huge. He was using it very, very wisely. And he was also wisely staying out of my Ghost Rider bubble. So, crits weren't exploding and doing damage to people. So overall, very, very good game, very tactical. Like I said, we just ran into a time issue because we had to set up the scenario where everybody would just, on the pre-marked maps, they just placed them down and they were going 10 minutes before us. So next game was against Chris Ryan, who I also know. Played him once before, but he shows up at our local nights sometimes. This was a Montesi formula and Spider Portals. Chris had priority in this one. I won this one 14-4.
Oh.
Yeah, he conceded after round 4 because things were going real bad. He was playing Doc Ock, Sinister Scientist, Ultron, Metal Tyrant, Rhino, Lizard, and Toad. And I thought I was going to lose this game in the first round because I was playing Daredevil, Amazing Spider-Man, Punisher, Moon Knight, and Iron Fist. And his Lizard came up the first round and tail whipped Moon Knight and dazed him right away. I was like, oh my gosh, this is not good. He did a Sinister Trap on my far left side, which I think might have been incorrect. So I just left that one alone. And on a D map, Spider-Man and Daredevil are really, really good at flipping other points that he had to abandon. Toad, of course, went to the middle and got the middle extract for the Montesi. Round 2, Moon Knight wakes up, and he actually dazes Rhino. Toad also gets dazed that round. Yeah. And then the Spider-Man went to the opposite secure point and flipped it. And then round 3, Punisher went off. Because at this point in time, I have grunts, damaged toad, and a damaged rhino. A dazed rhino and a dazed, injured rhino, injured toad on round 3. So I did blood red and personal, and I KO'd rhino, toad, and the grunts for an extra 3 victory points. He was trying everything to get Iron Fist out of the game because he was on his injured side, but he lived with 1 health and got off the Iron Fist on Rhino, and things went south. But he was very gracious. He's like, I just can't roll dice anymore. And I said, I understand, Chris. So Daredevil was also really, really good into Ultron, because Ultron would fire his beam at him, do like 2 damage. Daredevil would block it, or maybe just take 1, move up, and then strike Ultron, and he was doing like 4 damage each time. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So,
It sounds like you had a very good game, but also like getting blood red and getting 3 victory points out of blood red and personal is huge.
Yeah. Anytime I see grunts, I'm going to put Punisher out with a blood red and personal, because that's just
3
1
points.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that finishes up that game, and I'm 2-0 at this time. And then I finish up against Mike Sensei, who I've played a lot because he shows up at our local game nights, and we're practicing. I helped him with his list, so I kind of knew it a little bit. So he switched out Rogue for Beta Ray Bill. I don't know why, but everybody has their taste. So he was running Emma Frost, Hellfire Club. He brought Cable, Deadpool, Domino, and Gambit. He likes Gambit a lot, especially for the Dark Past play. We're on Montesi's and Intrusions, playing at 18. I have priority. I win this one 11-5. Running Daredevil, Ghost Rider, Dr. Voodoo, Punisher, and Wong. He did stealth on the first turn, but Daredevil picked on Gambit a little bit because he ignores stealth, right? On the second turn, Punisher went through a portal facing off against Domino. He does his rapid fire attacks into her. He does 3 damage, and she's standing by a size 1 piece of terrain. And then for his second action, he does a war zone and dazes her.
That's rude.
So, oh wow.
Yeah. And then on the third turn, Daredevil had come over. Punisher does the same thing again, rapid fires into Domino, does 3 damage, and then Daredevil's on a size 3 terrain, and she's right next to it, and I blow that up. Deadpool had taken damage from Emma Frost's leadership earlier in that turn, so he was on 3 health, 3 damage on that side. Domino's KO'd, so Punisher was a hero again in this one.
Yeah.
And then on turn 4, Devil's Deliverance on Cable, Gambit, and Emma kind of wrapped up that game because it was just big dice. So I went 3-0, and I won the tournament.
Congratulations, Steven. Well done.
Thank you. Like I said, I never played Blade once. I never played the Midnight Suns once. It was kind of funny. Punisher, real good. I finished up a bonus game with Zach. He wanted to learn some things, so I said, "Yeah, we'll play a game." So we played. We were on Portals and Hammers, and Zach is very Deadpool crazy, so to speak, and wanted to play him all the time, but it was one of those things where a new player, and we all went through this, everybody just wants to hit stuff, right? Just make stuff go away. And he wasn't playing scenario very well. So we kind of stopped at the end of the 4th round on that one. So shout out to Zach, new player coming over from Warhammer 40K. So
always love to see it.
Yep. So
I would
We've
like
been
to second the Punisher is awesome. I kind of don't want to squeeze
Yeah.
that in there.
I think
We've been
Punish-
shouting that to the ceiling that the Punisher is now in such a good
so
place.
good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but it was just amazing what he did. Um, the Blood Red and Personal, like I said, came through in that second game and just made it, just the point difference so much. And then on intrusions, he's really really good because unfortunately that Warzone takes an action. But if you're not using an action to move, then you go through a portal, fire at something, and then Warzone something that's close to terrain. It's a beautiful thing.
Yep. That'll do it. All right. Well, thank you for that, Steven. Does anyone else have any games that they would like to talk about? I know that I have one.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I played against Noah, and I was playing the my Spider Foes list, and it was against his Guardians of the Galaxy. We pulled Gamma and Cubes, and when I saw Gamma, I was like, "Uh-oh." This game did not go well for me. Noah played very well. I'll tell you what, Brandon, he has learned the game very well. He knows exactly what to do with a Hulk because this game came down to Hulk versus everyone, and Hulk wins that fight. Hulk, I was playing Rhino, which was a huge mistake. Hulk basically threw Rhino into somebody every turn, and it was
Yeah, I
a
thought of
nightmare.
that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well done. You taught him well, and he performed very well. He I think the game ended up being 17 or 18 to 10, something like that. I don't remember the exact numbers, but he trounced me. And even if he didn't win on scenario, he was so ahead on attrition. I think at the end of the game I had only Doc Ock left. So, yeah.
Doc
Didn't
Ock
go
is
great.
hard to kill.
He is hard to kill. And I did kill Peter Quill, and I had dazed Rocket Raccoon, which I consider a minor victory. Oh well. But that was the game that I played recently. Uh, do either of you have games that you would like to talk about? Either Brad or Brandon.
I played 3 games this week.
Okay.
I think it was only 3. Yeah, I think it was only 3. I played as Guardians into Hulkbuster, or new Captain America with Borka. He had Hulkbuster. I was trying to the main reason when I've been playing Asgard, I've been trying out like weird lists, like weird combinations to see. And in this game, I chose a combination that was just flat out wrong. And I kind of knew it was going in, but didn't think it would be as damning as it was. It was super damning. And then the game was just pretty lopsided. We were playing 17, I believe. Let me pull it up real quick. Let me think. 18, maybe 19. I'm trying to think. What did we play? I played. Let me tell you the models I played. That'll help with it. That makes life easier. So I played Angela and Thor, Scourge, Valkyrie, Wong. So 18. There's a key thing missing in that, as I did not play Beta Ray Bill. Yeah, which was just flat out wrong. I think the tactics cards I picked were correct. However, the model selection was just wrong. And then he was just able to kind of pick everybody apart. The key thing with Asgard to me is that you have characters that are just better than other characters at their threat value. And he was playing a lot of 4s and above, so even being, up a character on activation, having worse quality of characters, just was bad. But I was, like I said, just testing some stuff out in that game. You learn and you move on. I played another game against Borka where I played Inhumans. We played 15 points. I played Black Bolt, Medusa, and Cosmic Ghost Rider. He played New Cap, Hulkbuster,
Black Widow?
Black Widow, 2-point Black Widow, and 3-point somebody. He focused on Black Bolt. Black Bolt ended up getting taken off the table. He won on points, and he was probably gonna win, but like there was a real scenario that if he doesn't win the turn he does, that the next turn Cosmic Ghost Rider has a chance at almost table, like, or at least taking out 2 more characters. So I got too far behind on points, but there was a real case that I was gonna be able to, like, Cosmic Ghost Rider single-handedly was going to be able to like win the attrition race. He's good. He does good things. But the list I created for Inhumans, I've already had to scrap because it was just, I was talking to Brad about it yesterday. I had like 3 Inhumans in the list, and I was physically unable to play at 20 points. With the
Oh,
way the
no.
list, with the leadership, the way the list was constructed. So I've got to go back and probably add in. It's unfortunate, but I probably really need Miss Marvel, and I might just scrap the whole thing. I don't want to buy that character. I don't want to spend any money. It's not that I don't want to own that character. I just honestly just don't want to spend money, and having to spend money to test out a list is not ideal. I might just proxy her and see if I want to, continue going down that road of just testing Inhumans. But I think I know what I need to know about Asgard, so I'll play them some. But I think I want to test out Inhumans for a little bit and see what they got going on. And then the reason I found that out is because the next night Noah really wanted to play me because he got 2 games in, but he did not get to play me. And I was going to play Inhumans, and that's when I found out I couldn't play 20 points. So that was a fun little scenario that happened. But so we switched to, we were playing Demons and Scrolls at 20, and I switched over. I let him pick if he wanted to play against Criminal Syndicate or Defenders. He said Defenders, so I played Defenders at 20 points. I played Hulk, Ghost Rider, Daredevil, Punisher, Wong. I tabled him. It was a good game though, but I was able, like, he got clogged up on one of the points, and I was able to move I had activation, and I was able to move Daredevil in and do a 10 dice area attack into Agent Venom, Rocket, Groot, and Star-Lord. After playing Blood Red and Personal, and I KO'd 3 of those 4. I KO'd Groot, everyone but Rocket. So I KO'd Agent Venom, Groot, Star-Lord, and then Dazed Rocket. And then the game was just over at that point.
Oof.
Yeah, he was actually,
goodness.
before that, he was up by 1. He was up 9-8. That got me 3 points. I was up by 2, and then he had nobody left to activate, and then I was just able to go sit on the rest of the points, and then the game was over.
Wow.
So it was a good swing. We've talked about it. He has a real problem if he doesn't play the game when he's playing me. He's trying to play me and not the game. So I reference it that you guys will understand. I'm his Borka for me.
Yeah.
Like, he's just like, it's just all mental. Like, he knows how to play the game, but for some reason just kind of makes weird decisions when he's playing against me. But we've talked about it. We'll play again and see if he can kind of come around. But he's definitely picked it up, and it's definitely kind of, there's a Guardians is a really good starting affiliation.
I don't think you need the qualifier starting.
Yeah, just like if you're starting out there, like, they're a really good affiliation to pick up to like get good at the game quick. Like, they have they're all quality models. The affiliation's pretty simple. It's it's nothing too tricky, and they get to do a lot of things. So
Yeah, you're right. There's like a lot of tools that will help you learn how to do a lot of aspects of the game.
yeah, and he didn't play. And to his credit, he did play like even at 20 points, he went wide and played like a lot of characters he didn't normally get to play. Like he played Beta Ray Bill, Gamora, Agent Venom, and then Rocket, Groot, Star Lord.
Yeah, that's 20.
Yeah. So yeah, I was
Okay.
trying to name and do math at the same time, so that was not
No, that's
working out
fine.
great for me.
I was
Appreciate
adding up as you went.
yeah, I appreciate it. So yeah, it was a good game. Guardians are still really, really good. As Steven, also mentioned, Daredevil's also really good. Defenders are in a really good spot. So
Yeah.
we've been having some really good games lately.
Surprisingly, I identified my first game as a Doctor Strange game, though.
Yeah.
Because he had a lot of firepower, and like I said, the hex came in really, really handy because he had that decision point. Do I take the hex off and do one attack, or do I leave the hex on and do two attacks?
Well, and that's the advantage because you have that play, and then you have the amazing Spider-Man tech and affiliation.
Mhm.
Like people are
Yeah.
like a ton of affiliations are splashing him. Like having him in affiliation makes it a lot easier for list building.
Well, I'd like to give one of our locals, Dave, a shout out because I went to Thursday night and I was running basically the same list, but instead of Amazing Spider-Man, I had Immortal Hulk, and he basically challenged me not to run Immortal Hulk. And I said, okay.
Huh.
But no,
I have cut
like
Immortal Hulk from my defenders list. So
yeah. Well, he
I
was
get-
in there because of the Blade Splash, right, from Midnight Suns.
yeah, you have the
Obviously.
Siege of Darkness splash. So
Right. But like I said, I want to shout out. Like I said, I met new people. I met the store owner, Jason, over there. He was very, very kind, very, very generous. All my opponents were great, very good sportsmen. Can't say enough about that crew over there. So, unfortunately, they have their game nights on Thursday nights like we do at Recess on the West Side. So, it's going to be, maybe once a month I do the, you know, um, pilgrimage to the east side of Cleveland.
see, that's how you.
play the
That's
game.
you. Yeah, you got to get with that play group and just if you guys get everybody playing on 2 different nights, that would make
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, Zach, that's Zach's home store, and he had mentioned that. So, but like I said, Gilberto, Chris, Mike, all great players. So, I can't say enough about them. So they, like I said, they were really good games. So,
Brad, do you want to talk about your game?
I played 2 games.
You did play 2 games. I forgot
Oh,
about your
no.
first game because I was getting obliterated during your first game.
Yeah, I ran a demo for a new player, Zach. He seemed to pick up the game and enjoy it. I lost.
As you should during a demo.
As you're supposed to when you're demoing a game.
Don't lift the curtain.
Oh, he
As
might
in,
listen.
like-
We gotta edit this out.
There's
Yeah,
no
you're right,
editing
you're
on
right.
this podcast. He's gonna hear that.
Oh no, Fred, what you did? Even though I said it first.
There were some cool plays in this, and I taught him about all the various things. I got to throw a character and show him that. I got to throw terrain. He got to roll some attacks and use re-rolls and stuff. He played defenders with Daredevil leadership, and I played some X-Men. And then I played against Noah. I played X-Men. He was playing his Guardians. I got whooped real bad. I was like way up on scenario. I need 3 points to win. And I had a chance. And then he killed my second to last model. And I only had Nightcrawler, and he still had his entire team. So there's just no winning from there.
He did not have Drax. You killed Drax.
I did kill Drax. Drax did nothing this game. It felt so good.
Your Bane has been bested.
So on the first turn, Kitty Pryde moves up. She throws her 4 die Oh, it was paranoia. So he picks up a paranoia, takes the damage on Drax. And I roll my 4-die energy attack, wanting to put incinerate on Drax so that Cyclops can shoot him and kill him. And I just roll super hot and daze him right there
Nice.
with Kitty Pryde. And then the next turn, he tries attacking someone with Drax, like as his first activation, I think, which was a weird first activation, but and nobody takes damage. Whoever he attacks just did not take any damage. And then I KO him.
Well done.
Cosmic Ghost Rider, however, sucks. I hate him.
Everybody hates him, Brad.
He dazed Shadowcat turn 1 after she dazes Drax and does all but 1 damage to Colossus. Now,
Ooh.
Colossus went 2 more rounds before he dazed. A round and a half. Between him picking other people to attack, thinking, oh, he's just at 1 health, I can get him with someone else, and just never actually doing that. And then the few attacks he did put on, he was able to block.
Because Colossus is normally pretty hard to kill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is par for the course.
I really, 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 really like Cyclops. I really wish I remembered his leadership, though. I don't know why. I just can't. I went through this with Storm, too. There's a period of time where I forgot all about her leadership. But Cyclops is great. There are so many times I just... what's the attack called? Snapshot? Rapid fire? I don't remember. Not rapid fire. Where he gets to roll 5 dice.
Speed of sight?
No, not that one. The one where he
The
rolls
ability.
5 defense dice and then he does damage if you don't damage him. I got
It's
to
martial prowess, but not martial prowess.
Yeah, it's more than 2.
Fast draw?
Fast draw. That's what it's called. I got to do that so many times and deal damage, and it was great.
You dealt a ton of damage with that.
I did. It was so good.
I was watching at this point after my massacres.
Never got to do it to Rocket, which would be the best.
Especially if you get 3, right?
Yeah.
I even think one time he actively did not attack Cyclops with Rocket. Like he was like, I think he was, because he mentioned like moving up and doing it, and was like, wait. Then I'm just like dead.
It was a good game. I didn't quite get enough victory points before he killed all my models.
Well, sometimes that happens.
It does.
Well, is there anything else we need to talk about before we go on to the gentleman we're covering today? I don't think there is. So let's move on. So today we are going to be covering the Shadow King, otherwise known as Amal Farouk. He has 3 physical defense, 4 energy defense, and 5 mystic defense. He has 6 health on both sides of his card. He is threat 5, size 3, and movement speed short. Brad, let's go back to the way things usually are. Why don't you cover his attack suite?
He has 2 mystic attacks. The first one's called Mental Shackle. It's range 3, 6 dice. It costs 0. He gains power equal to damage dealt. It has Wild Root. And after the attack is resolved, if it dealt damage, this character may advance the target character short. His second attack is called Astral Disintegration. It's range 2, 5 dice. It costs 4. Add dice to the attack roll equal to the amount of power the target character has to a maximum of 5. And target character cannot reroll or modify dice in the defense roll during this attack.
Okay. Brandon, why don't you cover the first two superpowers?
The first one is an active superpower called Astral Fiend. For 3 power, it costs an action. You place a projection token within 3 of this character. When measuring range for this character's attacks or superpowers, measured from the projection token. When measuring range for enemy mystic attacks, enemy characters may measure to this character or its projection token. When this character is dealt damage by an enemy mystic attack, remove this token. At the beginning of the cleanup phase, remove this token. And this superpower can only be used once per turn.
And
The
do
next
that.
one is an active superpower for Immortal Essence. For 3 power, this character removes up to 3 damage from itself. It can only be used once per turn.
Okay, and Steven, why don't you finish out the card?
Right. We have a reactive superpower called Night Visions. Costs 4 power. When a character ends an advance within 3 of this character may use this superpower. Roll 3 dice. The enemy character suffers 1 damage for each crit and wild end result. If this superpower deals at least 1 damage, then the character may advance the enemy character short. This superpower can be only used once per turn. And he has an innate Omega level multiversal entity. This character gains 1 additional power during the power phase.
Okay. All right, let's talk about this. So there's a lot on this card that I'm not a huge fan of. There's a lot of it's really good. I don't like that. I understand why it's the case, but Astral Fiend being an action is like, what are you getting for that action? You're getting an extension of the range, and you can use Nightmare Visions from much further away. But you lose an action and 3 power, and people who have mystic attacks can attack you back through it. Someone help me here.
Yeah, I think it's one of the things for that. It's going to be very niche. I think the other 2 are much better superpowers.
Oh, I agree. One of them's incredible.
I think something happened where I feel like Astral Fiend may have was originally a tactics card, and then got put on this card because I think it was probably too good. And then they made it. I think that's where at the beginning where it gets removed in the cleanup phase. The fact that it doesn't continue is like the worst thing for me. I don't mind the action if it doesn't just go away, because there's so many matchups where they're not going to have mystic attacks, so you don't worry about it. This is really good to hit creatures like really far away. If there's 1 damage and you can use, you don't want to leave that back point, you can kind of make the attack and hit someone. But I every time I read it, I feel like this was just a tactics card that got put on the character just because it was probably too good if it just never went away.
Yeah, I'll say if it didn't say at the beginning of the cleanup phase, remove this token, it would be 10 times better. But it would probably be too good. You're right.
You could remove less words and make it really good, Fred.
Yeah.
You could remove 1 word and you'd still play it.
Action.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. If you remove the word action,
you would
play
still
this.
do it.
Yeah.
Because then you get to attack twice after you place it.
Right.
Yeah.
And which would be pretty solid. Mental Shackle, his builder, absolutely rules. That is an incredible attack.
Very, very good.
Astral Disintegration might be even better.
I mean, yeah, like his attack suite is great.
It's Penance Stare, but they can't re-roll or modify their dice.
Well, but they also gain power from it.
Yeah, but
still, you're right. It is. It's Penance
It's like
Stare.
half of Penance Stare with a different rule for the other half.
Yeah.
I mean, for 7 power, you can make it, range 3 and range 2, and then 10 die attack where they can't modify. That's a use for Astral Fiend, is you can just kind of nuke a character across the board.
Well, it's
With the two of them.
it's range 3, the width of the token, which is probably an inch, and then range 2.
Yeah. So
That's pretty far. You can get pretty far away.
yeah. So
He's
it is 7 power. That's a lot. Like it's not. We're not gonna pretend like it's not.
He's probably okay on D shapes where he can sit on the back point and still attack the other two sides once
Yeah.
a turn.
Yeah, just once. I was thinking like he would see a lot of. He might be real useful if he stayed real far back on an E, like on demons or on gamma. And he was.
Yeah, he never leaves that back point.
Yeah, just never leave the back point and attack people on their side. That'd be pretty handy. But I mean, here's another thing about him is everything's expensive, and he doesn't. I mean, he does get an extra power during the power phase, but it's only 1 extra power.
Yeah.
So the real thing you're doing with this character is you're mental shackling. You're hoping for 2 damage. Then you get to advance the character. Then you get a Nightmare Visions, and then you get to advance the character again.
What?
Yeah. Why only 2? You
Nightmare-
need 4 to win Nightmare
He
Visions.
gets 2 power a turn. So you only need 2 from.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he
I
so
see
he
what
should
you're
always
saying.
have at least 2. So like you get to mental shackle, hope you get root, you can advance the character in. Then you get him Nightmare Visions, and then you can just push him right back. Or bring him closer. Characters like Miles Morales, this is really good. Like this card's so good against Miles Morales. Like just Shadow King in general is so good against Miles Morales because he can just suck him in. He has Astral Fiend to catch him, and then he can kind of bring him in with Mental Shackle and Nightmare Visions, as well as Root's really good. The more Root in the world is probably not a good thing, but it's still really good.
Yeah, you're right. That is the thing. The thing about Nightmare Visions that bothers me is that it only rolls 3 dice and it only hits on a crit and a wild.
Yeah.
So, and if you miss that, it's 4 power down the drain.
This is also one of those cards that I felt like was originally 5 dice, and they realized it was entirely too good because of the advance.
Yeah, I think that all this guy's advance play is so strong they had to nerf him in a lot of ways to make him not completely busted.
Yeah, the original version of this card was absolutely bonkers. Guarantee it. Like that wasn't Astral Fiend wasn't an action. Like there was probably no cleanup phase. Like Nightmare Visions was probably 5 dice.
Yeah.
He was probably absolutely insane.
Doesn't Mysterio have a similar power to Nightmare Visions at 4 power that does 4 dice?
Yeah, I think you're like trips and something traps. I don't know. I'm gonna look that up because you're
Tricks
right.
and Tracks is the name of the ability. It is 3 damage. It's 4 dice. It costs 3 power.
So it's cheaper.
Yeah.
And Mysterio advances, so you're not advancing the other character.
Right, but it's similar is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like this was tested at probably 4 dice or 5 dice and was just too good. And to be fair, Tricks and Traps is arguably the best thing on Mysterio's card.
Yeah. Okay.
There's about a 36% chance of
getting any damage.
Yeah.
That's bad. That's really bad.
That's not very good.
Like that's terrible.
Well, the only good thing about it is that they don't roll defense dice. That's the only good thing about it.
Yeah, it's if you get hits, it's guaranteed damage. But
that may have been wrong. I forgot the dice calculator always takes into account defense, so that wasn't right.
Oh, okay. Well, do you guys see? I mean, I'm certain that there are going to be some tactics cards that are very effective for this guy. I have
Steven,
no
what
doubt.
do you think about him?
What?
Did Steven talk about him? I don't remember.
Oh yes, Steven. What's your take on Shadow King? We've been talking a lot, I think, the three of us.
It's a
so-
75% chance.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's a lot better.
Yeah,
That's
not
much
bad.
better.
I don't know if he's worth 5 threat.
Yeah, I don't see the 5 threat on here.
He would be a excellent 4 threat, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I think what they did with this card is that they rated the healing pretty high. Another character that I believe they rated the healing pretty high was Claw. So
Yeah.
I think Claw's a good 4 point. Okay. But I think that the self healing is what bumps these characters up, to tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
It's really
'Cause-
hard to have that like healing on like a 4. Any of the characters that have healing seem really, really good in comparison to the ones that don't. Like that's the best part about this card is like he's gonna be hard to kill. 3 power is not gonna be hard for him to have, and just being able to just remove 3 damage. 3 damage is a lot.
Mhm. Yeah, sure is. So that's the whole thing. I think if you drop the Immortal Essence and drop him down to a 4, I believe he's a nice, well-rounded character.
But that's
But-
not the case in this
But that's
guy.
not the case. Not,
Yeah,
but
and
that-
he
that-
only has 12 health for a 5.
Yeah. Well,
Not great.
that's my opinion on that. So
No, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah. This card definitely went through a lot of modifications, and none of them were positive.
Uh-huh. Well, I'm sure that this guy, there's some bananas stuff that you can pull off.
I still actively want to play this character. I feel like I actively have plans to play this character and try this character out. So like I have a lot of ideas for this character.
Okay. We'll see.
I believe I agree with Brandon. I believe in play testing they probably had a lot of negative play experiences with the previous version of this character. So
Like he
Is
can
he on
reach
a
out and touch
medium
someone.
or a large? Is he on a medium or a large base? Do we know?
I have no clue.
I would imagine at size 3 he'd be on a medium.
Like medium's the minimum, right? There's no way he's on a small base.
There's no way he's on a small base.
There's only 2 size 3 characters that are on small bases.
Yeah.
And that's M'Baku and original Sabretooth. And I guess Sabretooth
He's
Apex
full of
Predator.
metal. That's why he's a.
He's not full of metal.
Yeah, so I feel as though this guy I am very skeptical as to whether or not he's going to be good. I don't think no, that's not let me state that. I'm skeptical whether he's going to be worth 5 threat.
Well,
I'm sure that he's going to be functional. Like Mental Shackle alone is a fantastic attack. That is an absolutely amazing attack. So
I believe there's somebody smarter than me that will figure him out. And then you'll be like throwing your hands up in the air saying, "Oh my God, why do I play against this person?"
right, I'm sure you're right.
Yeah, there's a reason these things are the way they are. Like, I think he just ended up being entirely too good. Like I said, I think you just ignore Astral Fiend and just use it like it's a tactics card that takes an action for very niche situations. I think you are trying to Nightmare Visions and Immortal Essence just to get damage in. Mental Shackle is Mental Shackle is an absolutely amazing builder.
It may be one of the best builders.
Yeah,
out
his
there.
his attack suite is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
The problem is I do think he's a back point 5 threat, which
Yeah.
never feels good.
No. Yeah, I think I guess time will tell. A lot of his effects are gonna be dependent upon how he interacts with other things. So, of course, like it's tough to tell whether or not he's gonna really powerfully affect the meta, or whether or not he's just gonna be someone that is an interesting play that you pick up every once in a while. We'll see.
And his affiliations will matter too.
We know that he is going to be in the Brotherhood of Mutants. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And that him and Xavier will share an affiliation.
I'm not sure
Oh.
about that.
Huh.
They said that they were going to do that. I don't think this box will.
Yeah, because there's no way that he shares an affiliation with Professor Xavier, right? That
If
just
they
can't
shared,
happen.
if they shared an affiliation, then in timelines, it would be one of the two in timelines. It'd either be Brotherhood or X-Men.
Could it be? I got nothing.
I got nothing.
All right, well, because it makes sense for this character to be in Criminal Syndicate, right? So,
I mean, he
I
looks
was
kind of like
not.
Kingpin.
He's not. Because he'd be on the timelines list.
Correct.
the timeline was stupid.
But
They could also just add that when it actually comes out and they announce the stuff.
I think for the Brotherhood
If-
list, he was the substitute for Scarlet Witch, who wasn't there.
They've only edited the timeline list like 3 times. They can always keep changing it.
I mean,
They-
Brandon's correct.
They
They
can.
could change it.
I mean, to be fair, they say a lot of things and then don't do a lot of things. So, like, they also said we weren't going to get any more like mass character changes. So,
And then we had a huge one.
yeah, that's going to happen, and that's probably going to happen every year, and that's good for the game. Like, that's good for balancing. It's good for the game. It also makes people feel good when they get to play their characters.
Yeah.
This is a character. Like I said, it'll depend if he's in any other affiliations. I think it can be helpful. I think he has play in Criminal Syndicate. But I mean, he's not. I don't know when you or if you ever take him in Brotherhood.
Yeah, because there's a psychic attacker in Brotherhood that's a lot better.
There's multiple like attackers in Brotherhood that are just
No,
better.
there's only one Brotherhood psyker.
Emma and
Scarlet-
Scarlet Witch.
Scarlet Witch. Well, I don't count Emma.
Why not?
Emma's
She's
she's flat out in Brotherhood.
Well, I
And
just count
very
her
good.
as Hellfire. So
She's very good. I love Emma though.
She gets played outside
No.
of Hellfire.
yeah, I know. I just defaulted to Scarlet Witch because they're the same threat value. Pardon my
Yeah.
inconsistency there, but
You're
Yeah,
good.
and I gotta say, Scarlet Witch is. I think that she's just way better than Shadow King.
Well, it's funny because when you said one, I was like, "Am I wrong? Is Emma not Brotherhood?" Like
No,
I was flat out confused because I was like, "Oh man."
I am incorrect.
No,
I am
you're good.
incorrect.
Well, and the problem is you have 2 of the best psychic attackers in Brotherhood.
Mhm.
So you've already filled a niche. If he's in other affiliations like Cabal or Criminal Syndicate, they don't really have a ton of those. Well, Cabal has a decent amount now, but
Do you think he's in any affiliations that are not on the timeline list?
I'll be honest. I know we talk about the timeline, but I don't know shit about it. That's definitely a Brad question.
Because there's
I got.
24 affiliations, but only 14 in the timelines.
I don't think so.
Where else could he realistically be a part of? Is it just Cabal and like Criminal Syndicate that could be things he'd be
Hellfire
a part
Club.
of?
He could randomly
mean-
be actually a Hellfire Club affiliated.
What value does having him be Hellfire Club affiliated offer? Like,
Nothing
what-
right now.
Okay.
But if you get more Hellfire Club members, then there might be a tactics card that specifically targets Hellfire Club members.
Or if they
Okay.
get a leader who has a leadership on their card.
Yeah.
All right.
If you
Well,
look at the affiliation document, their Hellfire Club's listed and Emma Frost is listed there. So if they get a different leader, you can still play Emma Frost as a Hellfire Club member.
Okay.
Hellfire Club's still really good. It's I think 3rd on Longshanks. Well, it's tied for 1st on Longshanks.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Still real
Let's
good.
give this guy a letter grade.
Cute.
Me. I'm gonna give him a good old C, and I'm debating on the C minus. I'm gonna give it the C minus. I'm gonna give him a C minus because I don't see the 5 threat on him. I just don't see it. I guess that's me. All right. Steven, why don't you take it away?
I'm at a C plus because I always value self healing quite highly.
Yeah. And his self-healing is quite good.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the best healing things in the game, or
Right.
healing
Well,
actions.
Brandon, what do you want to give him?
I'm with Steven. I'm gonna go C plus. I think he has play in certain. If I don't, again, without knowing all his affiliations, I think he has play in at least a couple scenarios, which makes me not want to give him a C minus. It's unfortunate because the only affiliation we know him in, I don't know if he sees any play, barring a absolutely bonkers tactics card, which
Yeah.
could happen.
Okay. And Brad, what are you going to give Shadow King?
Q.
A Q. Okay.
I mean a C. C sounds good.
Okay. Yeah. I feel like we've covered it. He's been picked apart, clearly. He probably was unbelievably good at first iteration, and just playtesting showed that he was going to destroy the game.
When
So
you
they
when you read
pulled him
it, that's
back.
how it feels. Like when you're reading this card, it feels like this is a card that just got absolutely obliterated during like edits.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I get this model, though, he'll be a pleasure to paint, though. That's a pretty sick model he's got.
Cool
Yeah.
model. They've done all the models they've had recently are just absolutely gorgeous.
Their model game is top tier.
Yeah, they do a great job.
All right, Brad. Talk about some comics that have the Shadow King in them.
Okay. I have 3 recommendations today. The first one is Uncanny X-Men 117 by Chris Claremont and John Byrne. This is his first appearance. Charles Xavier gets pickpocketed. He chases down the little girl, who he can sense is a mutant. And
How does Charles Xavier chase down a little girl who pickpockets him?
This is before he lost the use of his legs.
Oh, okay. All right. That answers my
This is
question.
young Charles Xavier.
Okay. Okay. I think it's
That
a
was
valid question.
That was a valid question. So he starts trying to read her mind. This is Storm, by the way, but like 9-year-old Storm. And he gets attacked back psychically. And so he follows that signature to a local area cafe where he sits down at a table, kind of near what turns out to be Amal Farouk, and they have an epic mental battle that nobody sees in the cafe because it's mental, and only one of them walks away. Do you know who it is, Fred?
Is it
Is
Amal
it-
Farouk? Because
Is this when
Charles
Xavier went?
loses.
No, this is not when Xavier loses the use of his legs. So it is,
okay.
It is Xavier.
Okay.
Yeah. Amal.
I felt like that was a trick question. It felt like you'd phrased it in such a way like who walks away from this. All right, well never mind.
In Amal's first appearance, he dies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does he just die in this cafe?
Yeah.
Does no one know? Like,
oh no! People like jump up and like check on him after he like collapses, and Xavier like stands up, puts his hat on, and just casually walks away. It's so badass. This is not the end of Amal Farouk, the Shadow King, though. He keeps appearing because he escaped to the astral plane when his body died, and he spends years and years possessing people and fighting against the X-Men and Xavier and Storm in particular. So, in 2017, there's a series called Astonishing X-Men, and the first 6 issues by Charles Soule, Ed McGuinness, and Jim Chung are about a psychic force, almost a psychic virus that's starting to take over the world, centered in London. And a ragtag team of X-Men are hastily assembled to fight that menace. Fred, can you guess who this menace is?
Is it someone other than the Shadow King?
No, it's the Shadow King. You're
Okay.
really bad at this. So that's not really a surprise. Hey, it's a psychic virus. It's the Shadow King. What is a surprise is who he has trapped as a prisoner on the astral plane, because that person is supposed to be dead.
Who is this?
You want me to spoil it?
Oh, okay, never mind. Okay.
This is I'm not gonna spoil that. That is a big,
Reveal.
yeah, a big reveal and it's kind of the heart of the story. So go read it. It's pretty good. There are better X-Men stories, but it's pretty good. Speaking of better X-Men stories, New Mutants 2019, 14 through 24. This is Vita Ayala and Rod Reese. And this is a very good comic book, and it's definitely the best Shadow King story ever told. So
Okay.
a lot of Shadow King's history is pretty confusing, because at times they hint that Shadow King might be an ancient evil entity that possessed Amal Farouk. And sometimes they suggest that the Shadow King is Amal Farouk. And so this story sets out to set all that straight. And you get to see who Amal really is and who the Shadow King really is. And that may or may not be the same thing. Once again, I don't want to give away the heart of the story. But it's really nice art. It's very well written. To really enjoy it, you have to have some background in the Shadow King. But you don't need much more, if any, than the 2 other stories I told you. Those might give you a good enough idea of who the Shadow King is.
Okay. All right. Well, those are some comics that feature the Shadow King. Brandon, this is going to be an interesting one. Tell me a faction, an affiliation bonus, I should say, that you think that the Shadow King would really shine under.
I don't think it's gonna be that big of a surprise.
Yeah, no, we all know what you're going to say. Go ahead.
No, I think he's really really good under Kingpin.
Yeah.
Having multiple
imagine
advances.
that, Kingpin Criminal Syndicate.
Wild, wild, right? It's really just the advances. Being able to advance 2 characters a turn. If you can activate him last, and you have the ability to advance 2 characters off of points, plus getting root. Being able to heal yourself is kind of the damage reduction. That's kind of the trade-off there for when I'm looking at stuff. And then you have nightmare visions. Also, I think in this affiliation, Astral Fiend actually probably comes up more times than it doesn't, because you can actually use it at actually attacking across the board and pushing characters off of points you shouldn't be able to push characters off of. So no one's really safe when it comes to the Fiend token. At that point, you're really using 3 powers, and you're basically using your turn to pay 3 power to move a character from across the board off a point. And I think that becomes really useful. It's gonna suck real bad if you don't, deal damage and can't push them off the point. Um, but I mean, you just got to be a little strategic about who you're targeting with the mystic attacks, and just kind of hope for the best. But I think that's where he can really shine. It's again going to be really tough to play a 5-threat model and just kind of like hide him, but he can still be effective while hiding, and that's going to be important. So.
Do you know what affiliation he's going to be really good in?
Not Brotherhood.
Any other affiliation that's going up against Kingpin?
Yeah, he's also really good against Kingpin.
He's
very
really
accurate.
good against Kingpin.
Yeah, being able to kind of come in, stay healthy, and like the Mystic attacks are really good against Criminal Syndicate. And just being able to push 2 characters in turns is going to be really good. It's the same thing, especially like you could pair him with Shuri and Wakanda, and then you're pushing everybody all the time. Having 7 or 8 threat and its lower model count affiliation, being able to then just kind of start and having the ability to push 4 models off of points a turn is going to be really, really hard to deal with. So there's a good second one there for everybody. Wakanda, probably M'Baku. Wakanda. I'm not gonna lie, at the top of my head, I actually forgot what like half M'Baku's leadership does. Yeah, this is the one that allows you to prevent being pushed.
Yeah.
So like this, yeah. So you're trying to hold points and you can push people off points. I just want to make sure that's actually what it did before I sounded like an idiot. And then it also his second part of his leadership allows Shadow King to get damage across.
Oh my god, I'm hungry.
So you can get that extra damage across with the spin or the builder. With his second part of his ability, the Wild's turning at other dice into hits. So
Okay.
Kingpin and M'Baku.
Okay. Kingpin and M'Baku. Well, the only thing that's left for the show is my non sequitur recommendation. So there was a show that was called Legion that really featured. I guess it didn't really feature the Shadow King, but the Shadow King was. Yeah, yeah.
It does.
I didn't want to. It features the Shadow King. One, it's a good show. I like it. But the thing that I'm going to recommend is another show that stars the main character from Legion, whose name I forget. I forget what this actor's name is. But the show is called Downton Abbey. It is a period drama piece, and I am a sucker for a good period drama, and this is maybe one of the best. This is showing life in Edwardian England, and it's an incredible show. Everyone should watch it. It's really like it's one of my favorite shows of all time, maybe.
Fred, you should have stuck with recommending Legion.
Everyone should watch Downton Abbey. It's really good.
Everyone
I stand
should
by
watch
that recommendation.
Legion. It's very weird and great.
I mean, Legion
All right.
is also very weird and great.
Watch Downtown Abbey, and then when you're feeling, if that makes you feel less manly, then watch.
I'm gonna
Legion.
interrupt you. You just said, what'd you call it?
Downtown Abbey.
It is Downton. It is not downtown.
It's downtown
I
Abbey.
apologize.
The Abbey is in the middle of a big city. It's downtown Abbey.
I just thought she was hanging out downtown. I don't have a clue where that show is. So.
And remember, Black Widow attacks with battens.
And you can't forget the throwing croissants.
You're definitely throwing croissants. If you're not doing that, you fucked up.
All right, everybody. We're calling it here. It was great hearing from all of you. Everyone should go out and pick up Shadow King, except you probably shouldn't. All right, I'll see everybody later. Goodbye, everyone.